Dictionaries allow us to map data in a key value pair. So you have to have a key, then you have to present the real value. So remember that keys actually come in double quotes, while the values might depend with the data type. So if it's a string, then it has to come with that. Then if it's just a number, then it has to come without the double quotes. So let's look at a basic structure. So I'm just going to call this one a dictionary. So dictionary. So let me just for now call it just place in an underscore. Then this is just the basic architecture of like a dictionary. So you have to place in your variable name. So let's just give it a descriptive name. So you have a dictionary name. So this is just a variable name. Then you have this to place this equal sign. Then you must make sure that your key value elements comes in here, in between the opening and closing curly brackets. So down here we can have the keys. So maybe like okay, let's just say a key must be actually like paired into a value. So to do that, you have to use the full colon. So maybe we are pairing a number that's 30. Then you actually have to separate it with a comma. So then the next thing actually we want to do is so let's say we have another key, and then this happens to be a string. So let's say a string value. So I'm actually just trying to use this placeholders to like describe the architecture of the design of the architecture of how a dictionary looks like. So you have your variable name, the equal sign, the opening and closing curly brackets, and then your keys must always be in string. Then your values will now depend on the type of the data type you are working on. So let's have a quick example here. So for the case of maybe like a student dictionary, so we're going to say we have like students, then we have that. So basically what you require from a student is maybe an ID. So we're going to place an ID. So let's say 1 2 3 and 4, then comma. So we might also require the name of the student. So let's say we have yeah, John Day. Then also let's say we want to like also have maybe the school or the college he or she is in. So let's say she's in college of maybe engineering. Then so instead of us having all these kind of key value pairs, two double strings, we can also assign a boolean. So we can say maybe like graduated. So you can say has graduated, then we can assign it to false. So you can actually like present in different data types. So this is a boolean, this is a string, this is an integer. You can also have doubles and floats. So let's say we want to print this one now. So you can just use the normal print, then you can print now students. So once you run your program, you now find that you have actually the pairing. So if you now note this one, so the ID now is in double quotes. Every key is in actually string format. But now the values depend on the data type. So for booleans, there's no strings. Therefore, a string, of course, it has to come in between single or double quotes. Now, so what happens if you want to maybe like just access the name of student? So you can just say print name. Then if you now run that, you now find that we are printing the name only John D. And then again, let's say we want to update this value. So instead of having John D, then we want to have a new member. So let's say name. Then we can say now like teams on. What happens if you now print the name? So the name has been printed. So we can also print the entire, let's print the entire dictionary so that we can observe the changes. Now if you find that the name now has been updated to Teams on. So just drag this on a little bit, then clear my output. So this is actually like a simple architecture. So and what if you mistype this one? So let's say instead of updating the name to that, and then you update something else. So if you run the program, you find that John D has actually been updated, remained the same. So what happens if you were trying to print it directly? So like printing a missing value. So let's say we don't have this one now. Let's say we're trying to print the name here now. So clear this. Oh, something interesting here. Key error. So what this means we are printing a key that's not in our dictionary, because this is a capital N and then this one is a small n. So that will throw a key error. So you have to make sure that you've actually typed in your keys here. Then also we can like add a new key value pair. So what that happens is it will automatically be added to the last point. So that's always n minus 1. The last element is where it will appear. So this is actually where your new member will be added. So you can, let's say now we want to have students graduation. So we can say now students then. So let's say maybe we want to make sure that the student has good grades. So then we can now assign this one to maybe a boolean or a true boolean. So if you now print the student, so this will print it with this value here. So if I now scroll to this point, you find that as good grades has been now added to our dictionary with a true value, that's a boolean. So that's really a quick way of working with dictionaries, some of the popular methods here. So let's do a quick exercise before I give you a really an awesome exercise. So as we work on this exercise, I want you to note, because you're going to use some of the values. So this is our final this is the final exercise you'll be doing at the end of this video. So this is just a simple program to ask for the criticality of a system. So you can say it's very critical, then add an exclamation, and then and actually like dangerous. So then and that. So if I run this, then it's going to throw some emojis here. So it's for danger, then for critical, dangerous, and slight danger. So it means that it's very critical. So I want you to see. So I'm just using some placeholders here. So this means that the exclamation one goes for the danger, then the full colon, the less one goes for the danger with the white icon there. Then the full colon goes for the lightning emoji. So as you write this program, I want you to think of this solution. They really work very close. So let's get started. Back into our program. So we are going to actually create a simple code where we are going to like do conversion. So it's going to maybe like take if a user enters 1 2 3 4, then it's going to cast it in like 1 2 then 3 and 4. So sorry, this is just a keyword here, so I don't want to comment it anyway. So this is the expected output. So if a student enters 1 2 as his own ID, then it's gonna like interpret it in actually string. So let's do it quickly. So the first thing we want to do is want to get a user input, then maybe like ID, so that we can tell the user to maybe like enter the ID. Then we're going to store this in maybe like student ID. Then we're going also to like, now we have the input. So what do we do? So we want it in such a way that when the student enters 1, then we have 1, not open 1. Then when he enters 2, then we want to match it to 2. So to do this, we are going to use a dictionary. So this will now be our keys, and then this will now be our values. So we are going to say now the ID dictionary. So then I press enter. So this, remember, this is just a variable name, so this is the normal architecture. So we are going to create a key here. So for 1, we are going to assign it to actually 1, comma. Then for 2, let's assign it another string 2. Sorry, so 2. Then for 3, we are going to map it into a value that's 3. Then final one, let's have 4, so that we don't actually like, this is just a basic one. So 4. Now our dictionary is complete. What do we do next? So we want to iterate through this user input. So remember, iterations we use the follow. So we're going to say for, not from, for, then for what? So let's have a variable, so a descriptive one, for maybe like user input in. So what are we iterating? We want to iterate through these characters here. So that's the student ID. That's the input we really expect from the student. So we're going to say student ID. Now that's once we are done with iterations. So what do we do with this current iteration here? So we want to actually like map it into our dictionaries by actually going into the dictionary. So we go into our dictionary and then get a value. So what do we want to get? So we want to get these values here. So and that value is actually the number this user the current iterated value inside here. So maybe we have 1, so 1 we want to map it to 1. So that means now we are going to use actually this current iteration in which we are getting from the student input here. So we're going to say in user input. Then if we don't have maybe a student maybe like enters 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let's just place in that character inside there. Great. Then what do we do now? We want to place it in maybe like a output string. So we're going to say like, let's just call it final output, final not final out. So okay, fine, final output. Then we start with an empty string. So from there, then we want to now like add them into this conversion. So we're going to say final output string plus equal to the number. So what this line of code does is it actually takes this entire addition. So for 1, then it converts it and then adds it into the first line, then also adds, as long as the numbers have been added. For missing values, then it's going to print just a dash here. Cool, we're done. So let's print this. Let's print now the final output. So when you run this, let's run it in actually debug mode so that we can be allowed to enter the access from the terminal. Let me clear this so that we can have something very, very clear. So let's say we are now 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you see that it's now this too close. So let's add some spacing here. So to do that, we're going to like concatenate it with a space. Then we're going to clear this one, then run without debugging. So if you now enter 1, 2, 3, and 4, well, you now find that it now looks very nice. 1, 2, 3, and 4 has been directly converted with our dictionary. So what happens in a case where maybe a student enters the wrong ID? So like 1, 2, then 8, 9. You now see that we have these dashes here. So that was a very, very quick one. So for the project, I want you to do back into this. So I'm just going to run it once more. Run without debugging. Then I want you to note that. So once I enter an exclamation, like danger, then lightning, lightning, then I tell the user to stop. Now you see that this is has actually been accompanied by some emoji. So to give you an hint, this is just key pair values, just like the one. So and the final hint I'm giving you. So go into your extensions and download the emoji extension. So you can have this extension, or also you can have this one here over here. So it will allow you to use the emojis in this part. I'll see you there. Make sure you write the code.